Hey, you fucking savages. Welcome to the show, The Greg Medford Show, and your host, the lunatic himself, Greg. We're coming here from the studio at our factory in Phoenix, Arizona, and today is a departure from what we've been doing the last few months. We've been talking a lot of politics and a lot of public policy and a lot of issues, and today I have a guest we met years ago, and he's a chopper pilot from the Army, and he's going to give you some details on it. We'll talk about all that. I made a knife for him years ago.
Yes.
We got all kinds of stuff going on. So I want you to put your hands together and say hi to my friend Greg Coker. Greg, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Man, it's good to see ya. Good to see ya.
The audience are a bunch of hooligans.
Oh, yeah.
They won't shut up.
Bunch of beasts.
Dial it down, people. There we go.
Yeah, it's an honor, brother, to be here and be with you. And it's been too long.
Nice to have you. You've had a lot go on since last time I saw you.
Yeah, just a little.
Are you remarried?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
So you got remarried?
Man, I moved way up, and yeah, she's awesome. Edie, she's here with me.
Is she here?
Not at the MKT, but yeah, we didn't get in until like 1 this morning, so she was kind of snoozing when I left.
So what are you doing out here? What's your, am I the only reason you're here, or you got other stuff going on?
No, you're the only reason, man.
Get out of here.
No.
Really?
I've been telling you for like, 3 or 4 years now, I got to get out. Now my uncle lives here and a couple, cousins and some of the old Dillon Arrow crew. And yeah.
And I'm such an asshole, an hour late getting started.
No, you're not.
God, what a day.
Typical Marines.
Oh, man, I'll tell you. I get pissed off when people miss TOT,
Oh, yeah.
And
Plus or minus 30 seconds.
Oh, and I consider 30 seconds late. I see this, I get this phone call from this unknown number this morning. I was on the way here, so I was, my typical self. I'm going to be an hour early. And the trucker's like, hey, we're here to pick up your stuff. I go, no, that's not scheduled till 4. And he goes,
no.
Well, I don't know what the office girls told you, but I'm here now.
Oh, man.
And I was like, when you get a trucker, what are you going to do? Tell them to hang out for 6 hours? And I'm like, okay, well.
Okay, let's load her up.
So, tell everybody the story. So, Greg and I met. Did we meet through? How did we meet through Slick?
Slick. Yes. Yeah.
So we had a friend who's a chopper pilot in the Army during Vietnam.
Yeah.
And had a hell of a story.
Oh my
hell
goodness.
of a background. And then he gets out of the Army after planting numerous helicopters down in the jungle.
19 years old.
19 years old. All 135 pounds of them.
So good
And
wet.
He gets out, he crashes these helicopters out in the middle, gets shot down out in the middle of the jungle, and looks up and sees all these F4s and fast movers going over. He says, in my next military service, I'm going to go be a fighter pilot. I'm going to fly up there and have air conditioning.
Yep.
So he goes off and does a freakish thing, gets back from Vietnam, goes to college, becomes an F-15 pilot, and he was the first butter bar to fly F-15s.
Yep.
And then he's actually, I think, COO over at Dillon.
I think so.
Something like that.
I'm not sure, yes.
Anyway, that chopper community world is kind of small.
Yes.
And then you were with, tell everybody who you were flying with.
160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, Airborne.
So he was flying helicopters and little birds, right?
Mm-hmm. H-6s.
And then got a job post-military with Dillon for a while, and that's kind of how we all met.
Mike had called me in 2010, Mike Dillon, and they had, I think, 3 or 4 of their employees, and they were very small back then, got activated.
They're a little bigger now.
So, yeah, a little bit. So Mike called, he's like, hey, can you come out and help for a couple of months, And I was like, absolutely. So, yeah, I wound up being here like a year later, but, hey, flying little bird and shooting miniguns every day, hard to beat.
So, a lot of people haven't heard your story. Tell us about, you've had a lot, how many times have you been deployed?
11.
All right.
11.
And then when did your famous little bird incident happen? What deployment was that?
That happened 19 March 2004, about 15 miles south of Fallujah. It was my 4th deployment, I think, 4th or 5th. Yeah, I didn't get credit for it because I wasn't there long enough. So I got shot down.
Trump wouldn't count that.
No,
Yeah. My friends don't get
I
shot
didn't
down.
get captured.
You didn't get captured though.
That's
because,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So listen, tell us a story. I mean, everybody loves a good war story, and this is one that actually goes pretty well.
Yes.
So, can you tell us, the operation's not classified or anything
No.
that? It's all pretty straightforward. You guys were doing some snatch and grab off of most wanted dudes, right?
Yep.
All right,
Yeah,
give us a story.
we were doing, well, it was, again, '04, and it was out. We called it the Devil's Triangle. So it was from Fallujah to Ramadi down to Amarilla, and that made that triangle. And yeah, it was busy, man. It was Wild Wild West in '03, '04, '05, '06, and we were hunting terrorists and high up key leaders,
High value guys.
high value targets, and our orders were to kill or capture, not capture or kill. So bad dudes.
A proper order. That's
Yes,
a proper
it
order.
is. It was in our book. So we had, oh man, we just been busy in Fallujah and hitting targets. We were hitting 4, 5, 6 targets a night in March. And we hit a target, got some intel off of it that another dude we were looking for was going to be at a house at 10 o'clock that morning. And of course, we were like, ugh, daytime? No. Bad things happen to us. We're night stalkers, not day stalkers.
Yeah.
So they got that target intel, and the sergeant major says, hey, you guys we had a little area there east of Fallujah where we could just kind of hang out and hide in the helicopters. So we did. He said, hey, you guys.
You mean like parked or?
Yeah, he said, you guys crank up, get on the radios.
Hey, Bobby, my mic's super turned down. I don't know what's happened there. Is that for my coughing? Yeah. Yeah, turn it back up. I can't hear anything. Thanks, man.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you just fine. I had bronchitis a couple weeks ago. And I got this nag,
man.
and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
we got all this pollen. Like
Yeah.
right now, it's insane right now.
Yeah.
So I feel like Doc Holliday. I'm a total lunger.
Yeah, longer.
So Sergeant Major says you guys are gonna go get it. Come on.
So Sergeant Major said, hey, just hang out here. We're going to go hit this target, get this guy. And if we need you, we'll call you.
And are you guys landed? Are you parked?
Yep.
Not burning fuel? You just loitering?
No, we're
you're
running
loitering.
at
Okay.
100%
Right.
and 2 or 3 minute flight. So if something, if they got hit or whatever, we could get to them pretty quick. And the configuration was 2 AH-6s. We carried 2 Dillon M134 miniguns and then 2 7-shot rocket pods. So that's their precision fire support for Delta. That's what we do. So they hit that target. Off there came some more intel that another dude we were looking for was down in Amarilla. So Sergeant Major comes back. He goes, hey, you guys head back to Baghdad. We're going to drive down there and kill this guy, and then we're going to head back to our mission support site. Okay.
I just love that. I just love that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
And so they did. So we went back to Baghdad. It was probably around 12:15. We had gotten back, decompress, get a little chow, hit the gym, get ready to go hit some rack, and walked into the talk, and I heard this radio call. I recognized the call sign, and it was tick, 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 troops in contact. So that was those guys. So we hauled ass back out to the helicopters, about a 11, 12-minute flight. So we got on station, and they had hit the target, and they were getting ready to head back to Baghdad. So they had 5 vehicles, had 2 Panders, which is a big armored 6-wheeled vehicle, and then 3 gun trucks. In the gun trucks were 375 Rangers that man the up guns. So they had 50s and dual 240Gs on the gun trucks. So we're flying around, just keeping them secure. Made a couple engagements on some dudes that were it looked to me like they were trying to flank, maybe. So we engaged them, killed them. And again, this is about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And it just, when we took off, the hair stood up on the back of my neck, and it's just that sixth sense that warriors have. And I was like, oh man, all I could think of was, this is not good, but hey, the bros need us. They're in trouble. We're going to go. So we're on station probably about 6-7 minutes, and the troop commander called and says, "Hey, we're getting ready to depart." And we were just like, "Oh, okay, good deal." So my co-pilot, I had told him en route, I said, "Whoever's not flying in an AH, you've got your M4 up and ready to engage targets, suppress, whatever the case." Pretty effective at doing that. So I said, "Hey man, anything you see, I want you to smack them. Okay, just shoot them down." I came around and we just got the call to depart. So we always do a low pass on the guys, like, I don't know, 7-8 feet above them, and kind of rock over and wave. And
Sure.
They wave back.
You're communicating with them?
We're
Communicating, yeah.
Communication. Team building.
Goddamn cowboys.
Yeah. And I never will forget this. And I was headed kind of southwest. I was in a climbing right-hand turn, and at about 165 feet AGL, this explosion, that's the best way I can explain it. It was just like a breach going off. If you've ever been close to a breach.
Yep, sure.
So
a big concussive wave across you.
Helicopters vibrated, and this big white meter-long rod went right by my head. And co-pilot said, "Wait, that didn't come out just right." But it was the missile. So the shot was an SA-16 surface-to-air missile, shoulder-fired IR. It seeks heat and works as advertised.
It's a good thing your head runs kind of cold.
Yeah. It's big.
Right,
Yeah, man. I mean, and the co-pilot said he said, "Greg, it went right by your face." And it did. It fragged me in the cheek and right here in the neck. And I had pieces of missile coming out of me for years and years after that. Oh. And so I leveled out, and things got real quiet. And, as an aviator, when the engine quits, you're like,
"Oh, yeah."
First words, "Oh, shit."
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Where am I crashing?
Yeah, where am I crashing? Where am I going?
I hate that feeling.
Yes, sir. So, I went to work. And the best way I can explain this is that from that moment, it went, if you look at an old film, a movie, it was frame by frame by frame. That's what I saw. That's, adrenaline dumps. I understand the physiological effects under stress. Man, my heart rate was probably 180 when that thing hit, And I always tell folks, training will take over. If you train to a high standard, then you'll get through this. But if you don't train, you won't get through it. So I'm also an instructor pilot. So I've done, hundreds and hundreds of auto rotations in that helicopter. And we do them all the way to the ground. Nobody else does them but us. So I entered an auto. I got the aircraft level, checked my airspeed. It was like 65 knots.
So let me pause you for a second, okay? Sure. 65 knots. So for those of you who don't know, on auto rotation is where you take the momentum of the rotors, and you tell me if I get this off because I'm more of a fixed wing guy.
Sure.
But you take the momentum of the rotors and your downward momentum, and you convert that to forward momentum briefly to keep you from hitting the ground. So you're converting all of this rotational mass you've got, the lift energy that's being generated by the rotation, and you're trying to, at the last minute, by combination of collective and throttle and all that, you're at the last minute flaring and just stopping a catastrophic crash.
That's perfect, man.
Did I about hit it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a controlled crash.
So for everybody who doesn't know, there's an airplane's got all this kinetic energy, and the engine stops. The kinetic energy is its mass and lift off the wings. A helicopter has all this kinetic energy rotating, and so they find a way to convert that energy. To us fixed wing people, we go, "What the fuck?
Yeah,
the fuck? Yeah. That's not fucking flying.
That's not natural."
I got to be friends with Sergei Sikorsky years ago, and he said, "Well, Greg, the difference between fixed wing and rotors is a helicopter beats the air into submission."
Yeah.
So you're at 65 knots. You've auto-rotated the aircraft.
Yep. I got level, got the aircraft in trim. I'm checking my rotor, and I'm looking at all, and this happens in nanoseconds. the best way. I mean, the human brain is just the greatest computer on the planet. And I do recall seeing all this stuff. Check my rotor. My rotor's a little high, so I pull in a little collective because you don't want that rotor to spin off the rotor head, if you just let it go out of control. I was heavy. I had a tailwind of about 20 knots. I was in the worst condition.
That's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. I was in the worst condition I could be in. I mean, the aircraft are pigs, and they fall out of the sky like a greased crowbar. I mean, they auto at about 2,600 feet per minute, and that's screaming. So I'm just doing these checks. Now, keep in mind, I was only about 160 feet, and we did the math on it, and it took approximately 3.4 seconds from the time the missile impacted to the time I touched down. So,
did it seem like a long time because of the adrenaline dump?
Yeah, man. It was just slow motion. That's the best way I can explain it. Thank goodness.
The world, it's so funny when you have these moments. I've had some moments like that. When your adrenaline hits, the world's still tick-tocking away. Yeah. Tick-tock, tick-tock. And for a moment, our clock goes tick-tock, 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 tick-tock.
It does.
And everything just kind of slows down. I've had it in fights. I've had it in shooting. And I've had it, when an engine goes out of that airplane.
Yeah.
My adrenaline dump is like, oh boy.
Time to go to work.
Go ahead, Mansell.
Yeah.
So you got put it down on the ground.
Yeah. So they're in the desert. There's no trees, or there were no buildings, and aviators use those things to judge distance above the ground because at 75 feet, I have to start a decel to get the airspeed off. So I'm setting up for my landing and my touchdown. So we rely on the radar altimeter, which we have in the aircraft. So I'm looking at it, rotor, airspeed, trim, everything's good. And so I saw 75 feet, and I'm looking, pretty much between the pedals because that's where that helicopter's going to go.
Yeah, it's got a real steep angle of descent.
Very, very steep angle. Everything's green and groovy. I'm like, okay, we got this. And 75 feet, I start my decel, and I'm thinking to myself, I said, okay, I'm heavy. I got a tailwind. I don't know the condition of the surface.
Right.
So in my mind, I said, I'm going to level at about 15 to 20 feet, and then I'm going to pull everything I've got with my collective. So what that does, that puts pitch in every one of those rotor blades to bite into the air, and it's that final slow down before you touch down. So it's almost like a powered on. If you do them correctly, it's like a powered on landing. So in the other guy in the AH said, man, it was the prettiest auto he had ever seen. I said, well, it's just like Neil Armstrong, man. I only had to do one when he was landing the limb on the moon. I got one shot. But yeah, and the guy I was flying with said, man, I didn't even feel his touchdown. So we landed, and of course that dust is just like powder. Yeah. So it just fills the cockpit, can't see anything. And I'm just slowly lowering the collective to get that weight on the skids, because I'd pulled all that collective to cushion that landing.
So your rotor's still turning at this point? Okay.
Yeah, it's still turning.
And you're under some light power, or you're zero power?
None.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just inertia.
Yeah, and the two guys saw the missile shot. Mm-hmm. And one of the Rangers, he had a camera, and he threw his camera up and took a picture of me on fire. As I actually have that picture.
Oh, that's nice.
It's in the book.
That's pretty cool.
And I said, and he's a good friend of mine. And I said, Ranger, why weren't you suppressing that target instead of taking pictures of me on fire? It's like, well, Gravy, it was a moment, Kodak moment.
There's time to shoot, but you only get one shot.
You only get one shot.
That's fine.
But yeah, so
you guys landed.
Yeah, we slid about 35 meters. And I'm, to myself, I'm like, okay, man, we got this. We're good. And then old Mr. Murphy. If you don't know who Mr. Murphy is, he's bad luck. And he raised his ugly head. And with the speed, my momentum, and I went down just a bit of a slope, and the skid stuck.
Oh, yeah.
We rolled end over end once, twice, came to rest inverted. Helicopter's on fire. And I know we were both knocked out, but nobody ever knew that. Because if an aviator goes unconscious, you're automatically grounded for 2 years. So
Makes sense.
We weren't.
Yeah.
Oh no, Doc. Wink, wink.
No.
We were all conscious the whole time.
We're just trying to cut our straps.
Yeah, and
so you guys were you hanging upside down in your straps? Okay.
Yeah, and I had hit the door frame with my helmet, and it cracked my helmet. That's how hard I hit it in that crash sequence. I told my guys, because they showed it to me, and I said, get rid of that thing. Burn it, bury it. I don't care, because they could have sent it off, and they could have analyzed it and said, oh, man, this guy took a 10G shot to the head, or, whatever.
Yeah.
But I wanted to kind of clean up the battlefield there. So I came to...
We call it suppressing the evidence.
Suppressing the evidence, yes. Yes. So I came to, and of course, you go through those checks. So I wiggle my toes, I move my feet, my legs, and I was like, man, my right leg, I can't feel it too. Okay, it's good. Then I look over at my co-pilot, and again, we're upside down, hanging in the straps, and he's got blood all over his face.
What was his call sign?
Bravo. I'm Alpha, he's Bravo.
Did he have a nom de guerre? Don't you guys have any cool names?
Mm-mm. No.
Oh, I thought.
No, I'm 4-1 Alpha, he was 4-1 Bravo.
All right, very unceremonious.
Very.
That's just in movies.
Yeah.
And in the Marine Corps. And the Marine
It's not Maverick
We
or,
don't know.
anything cool.
No, everybody called me Furball.
Furball.
Yeah, because everything was a fucking furball if I got involved. So go ahead. So you guys are hanging upside down. He's got blood all over him.
He's got blood all over his face. So first thing.
What's his name? Are we allowed to know his name?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
No, can't put it out.
Yeah, no problem.
So I put my hand on his shoulder, and I said, hey, you okay? And he kind of nodded up and down, and I didn't want to say, hey, man, you're bleeding, or, you're fucked up, or whatever, because it just sends him to another level of shock. We're both in shock. We're both beat up. And there was, but I heard this popping. It was like popcorn. Pop, 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 pop. And I'm like, okay, am I imagining this? Or, oh, no, it's the ammo right behind my head cooking off. So then I'm thinking, okay, I got 17-pound rockets on board. What are those going to do when they catch on fire?
Get the fuck out.
Yeah. So I told him, hey, look, get out, and I point, because we go to the 3 or 9 o'clock, because it's an armed aircraft. You don't want to get in front of it in case something does go off. So I grab my rifle, I crawl out of the front of it. My first priority is security of our site. So, and again, I was pretty jacked up. I've had 39 surgeries, and I got 44 pieces of titanium in me after that crash.
Really?
So, got good docs. They put us back together. So I crawled out. I did a 360 the best I could around the aircraft, because my first general thought was, hey, Little Bird down, Black Hawk down. That was our first day mission since Mogadishu in 93.
Right.
And old gravy. Yeah. So we were only about 300 meters from the Ville where the shot came. The guys, they were getting it on. I mean, they were putting suppressive fires down.
So you hear small arms fire in the background.
Yeah.
You're trying
the other
to
AA,
secure your area.
He's diving and shooting. Now he's about out of gas.
Right.
So he's got to depart. And I'm like,
so you're going to be on your own.
Man. Yeah. That's all good.
That's a sucking feeling, too.
It's a very suck feeling, man. And especially when, we were literally surrounded by, Mouge. So I look back, I'm like, okay, where's co-pilot? Nope, he's not out. The helicopter is burning. It's on, fully engulfed in flame. So one thing I thought about was my little day ruck we hang right behind our heads. It has NVGs, grenades, water, ammo. So I was like, okay, maybe I can get it out. Oh, no. The whole cargo, and you're familiar with the MD-500s. It was just engulfed in flame. So I'm like, nope. So I go to the front. I get down on my hands and knees. I tell the guy, I was like, get out now. He kind of nodded. And so I turned around, stood back up. I kind of walked and fell. My legs weren't working very well. And so I turn around again. I look back. He's not out. So
he's more effed up than you thought.
Yeah. So, and my first thought was on his face, the MD-500, 530s, the Little Birds have a bad history of your shoulder harnesses not locking in a crash sequence. So they do the old cyclic kiss. And I know a couple guys that
Is that
don't
what happened
have
to
any
him?
front teeth.
Is that what
No.
happened? Oh, okay.
No, he bit through his tongue.
Oh.
Like halfway through.
Oh my God.
Oh, it was nasty.
Yeah, that's pretty awful.
I was like, oh, dude. I said, you're not going to be licking any lollipops for a while. But anyway, I didn't say anything then. So I crawl back in the helicopter. I reach up. I grab his latch. I pull his latch. And he, he's upside down. He, boom, he hits the ground. And then he kind of, I think it kind of brought him back to his sense.
Yeah, jolted him a little. Yeah.
Jolted
Yeah,
him.
yeah.
And I asked him later, I said, what in the Sam Hill were you doing hanging in that burning helicopter? He goes, well, I was listening to the radio. They were talking about us. And it's just, I mean,
It's funny.
Odd thing.
These big traumatic bangs that can happen to us, they get it's almost like our computer's out of cycle, and you stop the right order of operation.
Yeah.
And then something gets you.
Yes.
And it can snap you back moving again. It's just
your
momentum gets twisted.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. So
he kind of gets his wits back about him.
I grab him, and we got kid on. I grab his vest and I just jerk him out of the helicopter. Jerk him on top of me. I push back and I jerk him again, and we're face to face. And I was like, "You okay, bro?" He's like, "Yeah, I think so." I said, "Okay, let's go. Get your rifle." So we get out. We go to the 3 o'clock. There's a little defilade right there. So I said, we're going to set up right here. I said, I put him facing north in the prone. I was facing east towards the Ville on a knee. And I said, look, if you see something, sing out. Let's put both eyes on it. We're kind of jacked up right now. I don't want to shoot, one of our buddies.
Right.
He's like, yep, roger that. So I hear a truck, and I said, hey, I got a truck coming. And I couldn't see it because we were down in that defilade. I heard it stop, and then I see a head, I see a ball cap, I see a bearded face, and I like, okay, I know that guy. I said, we're good. It was Chaz, Sergeant Major Chaz.
Was he in a Hilux, or what was he driving?
No, he was in one of the gun trucks.
Oh, okay.
The up-armored gun trucks.
Hey, Bobby, would you bring me my other soda sitting there on the counter at my desk or something, please? Thanks. So he comes running over. You guys don't plug him.
He comes running up. Well, he stops about halfway.
Good thinking.
And he's like, and he said, I saw him later, and he said to himself, how did those Rangers get there so fast? Well, and then he's like, oh, that's Gravy and his co-pilot. Those aren't Rangers. I mean, then he ran up to us, man. He grabbed us and hugged us, and he goes, bro, we thought you were dead, man. I was like, we ain't dead. And he told me later, he said, I asked him for a fire extinguisher to go put the helicopter out.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, it's gone, man.
The helicopter's
gone. And it did. It just melted.
So what happened next?
So he asked me, he says, hey, Greg, he says, what do you want to do? I said, I want to go find that son of a bitch and kill him. He was like, get in the truck. So I got in the truck. We got up. We linked up, we got online, and we assaulted the Ville where the shot came from. It was a 2-story building. So I told the troop commander and the sergeant major, I says, hey, I want to clear that building, and I want to go up there on that roof to see if there was any evidence, dunnage or... Right. I got a theory about this dude. There were 8 helicopters shot down. I think we're the only crew to survive it. A couple Chinooks, some 58s, I think a couple Navy helicopters, and it was all in that triangle. And SA-16 is a very, very advanced weapon system, and they said there weren't any in that country. So anyway,
turns out there were.
I think it was some payback.
Yeah,
yeah, there were a few. So yeah, we got in the trucks, and of course Doc got on us, man. He was sticking needles in us and checking us, and here we are going across the desert, just full speed online, 2 Panders, 3 gun trucks, and I was in a back seat right hand behind Sergeant Major, and I just had this pause. I kind of looked to the right, I kind of looked to the left, and I was like, huh. Yeah, you may remember Rat Patrol.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That
World War II Africa
That's what
Jeeps.
I thought about. I was like, dude, this is just like Rat Patrol.
Oh, that's so funny. I've thought that kind of thing running across the desert in the Middle East too. I'm like, well, this reminds me of that old TV show.
Like, yep, the old TV show, Hunting Nazis.
That's
man.
so funny. Yeah, Nazis.
Old Brits. But anyway, so I kind of got back. We started engaging targets. We got to the building.
That dates us a little bit. Just
Yeah, a little bit. Johnny Quest, Rat
oh,
Patrol.
totally Johnny Quest, man.
Yeah, man.
So
Bandit.
funny.
But anyway, so we're headed in. We get stuck in mud. 2 of the gun trucks in the middle of the desert in a gunfight. Dudes are running everywhere. So we deploy out of the vehicle, and Jeremy Smith was the top gunner, Ranger 375. And so I get on the left corner of the truck. A Pander's maneuvering back around to back up to us to put a snatch strap on the Humvee to pull us out of the mud.
Yep.
And I see this dude in a black man dress. He comes out on top of this building, and I go, "Hey, Sergeant Major," I said, "I got action, my 12. He goes, "Shoot him." I said, "Roger that." Well, he had a cell phone, and he turned, he walked back in the little doghouse there, and then he came back out. When he came back out, he stopped. Well, I put a controlled pair in him, dropped him. Jeremy opened up on he had dual 240Gs. So everybody opens.
That'll get it done.
Everybody opens up, man. I mean, it's just shooting everything because dudes are shooting at us. And then I look left, and Jeremy says, "Action 10 o'clock." So he runs his guns. He starts shooting. Well, then 2 guys come out of this building. One's carrying an AK, one's carrying an RPG. So I shot those 2 dudes. And then, I mean, guys were just engaging targets, all 5 vehicles. And we're trying to get that Pander under fire back up to us and the other truck.
Are you
Pull
out
us
of the
out
vehicle at this
Mhm.
point?
Yeah, we're out. We've deployed out, and of course with SOP. And
what did you have going on with you? I know you said you had medics poking into you at that point.
well, I had a concussion. I blew out both shoulders, blew out both knees. I had a broken vertebrae and C-spine and broken back.
So you had all kinds of concussive injuries and impact injuries.
TBI.
But now you're out of the vehicle because you're like, you don't know how fucked up you are, but
No.
like there's a bigger problem to deal with.
It's
at the
adrenaline,
moment.
man.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it's just...
No, but people wonder this stuff when they hear this kind of thing.
Yeah.
You don't know when you're banged up. It hurts and you're banged up.
Yep.
But at the moment, if there's a gunfight that needs to happen,
bet.
you're like, well,
I'm like, time out. I'm
hold
hurt.
on, my back hurts. You're like, Mom, I'm fucking
neck
really
hurts.
sore, but like, I'm gonna worry about shooting that guy.
Yeah.
It's these are lessons for life. If we've got
They
people
are.
watching this, people are always like, well, how do you do this or how do you do that? I'm like, well, you don't have an X-ray. You don't know
No.
if you just got a bad bruise or contusion.
Sure.
You fucking get out and
Pulled
work. You
something.
get to working.
You get
If
to
everything's still moving, you just
Yeah.
And then sometimes
Brain's working.
sometimes you get out and screw yourself up because you got something broken or damaged. But
Yeah.
remember that movie with Mel Gibson, Payback?
Oh, yeah.
And he's got this drug dealer down on the ground.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
got the gun to his head. And he says, "Tell me who the dealer is." The guy's, "Oh, if I tell you, he goes, worry about me.
Worry about me.
Worry about me."
Yeah.
That's that moment, where you
is.
don't know how effed up you are. You know you're effed up. You're like, well, I'll deal with effed up later. I'll make sure I'm not dead now. So you just get to going.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, Doc's here. He's on the radio. He's talking to the rear.
Right.
And in the meantime, so the troop commander called. He's like, "Hey, Gravy, come here." He said, "I want you to hear this." I said, "What's up?" He goes, "Listen. So theater dedicated CSAR, Combat Search and Rescue for Iraq, was AFSOC, Air Force Special Operations Command. They're CSAR guys. Let's see, what's their motto? So others may live is their motto. They refused to come get us. That's a true story. Now, I'm sure it wasn't the pilots and PJs and those dudes. It was higher up.
No, somebody else blocked them.
Daytime.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
And I told our guys, I said, of course, they sit back in the rear of what was going on at Baghdad. There were, 10 or 12 helicopters. They said it looked like the Clampets. Every Delta, Ranger, Night Stalker was hanging on because they were coming. Here they come. And I told them, do not come in here. Don't come in here. I don't want another aircraft shot down. And Sergeant Major says, hey, we got the guys that are secure. We'll get them where we need to get them.
Yeah.
So we spent probably an hour doing that. We finally made it to the building. We cleared the building, didn't find anything. So Sergeant Major said, hey, Greg, he said, come on. So we start walking through this ville, and he's grabbing dudes and kind of doing a, field expedient chat with him.
Yeah.
And he spoke the language. I mean, fluently.
That's pretty handy.
Fluently.
That's pretty handy.
Yeah. And we couldn't, nobody saw him. We couldn't find the dude. So we come out of there. So now it's, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours, getting stuck vehicles out, gunfights with Al-Qaeda dudes and bad guys. And I said, hey, I want to go back to the crash site to make sure that all our sensitives, especially those miniguns.
Yeah.
And we're trained that if you have to leave a gun, you take the safing sector off the gun. If you have the safing sector, the gun can't be fired. And I mean, it was just a pile of ashes. But that's another story. Well, I'll just say it now. So 10 years later, I'm going through my attic, and there's a kit bag, and I open it. Well, there's my uniform I was wearing that day. So I pulled the jacket out. I was like, oh, I'll be darned. Pulled the pants up, and I was like,
something in the pocket.
Something in the pockets.
Safing sector.
Right leg, left leg pocket, safing sector each. And I did not even remember doing that. But I gave one of those safing sectors to Mike Dillon. And it hangs in their hallway at Dillon Aero.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So we go back. Of course, it's burnt. They blew the rockets. The rockets didn't do anything, surprisingly. They go off, and so they charged them, and we blew them in place and made sure, commo and all that stuff was all destroyed. The 82nd came on station. They secured it, put it in a box, shipped it home. But they took the aircraft to do forensics on it, and they wanted to deny, one of those 3-letter agencies wanted to deny or confirm the system.
SA-16s.
And they found a little piece of metal in the right-hand gun box and says, yeah, it was an SA-16.
Okay.
It's like, dang.
Just forensics.
Yep, just forensics.
Now, did you guys ever get the dude that shot you down?
No, didn't find him.
Oh, God, man, my head had that. I thought you guys had gone and got him.
Man, I wanted to. I wanted to kill that son of a bitch. So we get back in. We fight our way through Fallujah. We fight our way to Ramadi. We fight through to
So this is in 04 or 06?
04.
Okay, 04.
19 March 04.
Yeah, it's
Because the Sergeant Major says, okay, we'll take the guys to our mission site.
Okay,
we got docs are there.
Yep.
Good. Again, I told Night Stalkers, do not come in here. Do not. Okay, don't want you. We're good. We're secure. We got doc. So and you talked about it earlier, our mind and our bodies, what they do under stress and duress and adrenaline. And we pulled in through the front gate, and I opened the door, and I started throwing up. I mean, that safety factor.
The release.
The release.
Yeah.
Of course, the docs grabbed me. I mean, I just fell out of the door, man.
It's so funny you say that. I told a story the other day on the show because I had a medical incident happen a couple weeks ago, and I was telling the story about I don't know if you remember when my Yak 50, I lost some motor on that, and I ended up putting it down out in the desert up north of town. And I remember, the engine went out, and I was flying with Slick that day.
That's right.
That's funny.
That's
so
right.
Slick and TJ were flying with me. I'm lead. They're just joining up on me off. We were just off the field, and I remember I got a little flash of light, and I looked down on my instrument panel, and I had my chip detector light flashed just for a second, and then the oil pressure went boop boop, and I mean just instantaneously, and I was like, oh shit. So I was maybe going 120 knots or so, and so I scrubbed off my airspeed and got to best glide and got a little extra altitude, and I just looked around. Oh man, I'm going down the dirt for sure. I'm not going to make it back to the airport.
Oh, dude,
that sinking feeling, and I was like, okay, and I did the math really quickly. I get about a mile per 1,000 feet of altitude, so I knew exactly what I was like. Okay, well, there's my crash cone.
Yeah,
so I'm just looking for where I'm going to crash.
Where's the wind? I want to get into the wind.
So I end up making it out to turf, that little dirt strip out there.
Yeah.
It's got that little cliff off the other side. And I got there. I got over the power lines. I'd been scrubbing energy. My engine never seen. I came in way too fast. Down at the end of the runway, I just pulled straight up, did a little hammerhead, and put it right down in the dirt. Slick said it was the craziest thing. He says, that's the craziest landing I've ever seen. I said, well,
for Slick to say
I
that.
know. He was complimentary to me. But I guess my voice went up a little higher while I was on the radio.
Yeah.
I was, it's so funny. You have something like that happen. I was like, okay, just sound cool on the radio.
Oh, yeah. Got to be cool.
But I
man.
guess I went up like a whole octave.
Everybody does. Everybody does.
I land out there, and that's like a glider port.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And the gliders, they're kind of like pot smoking hippies,
Yeah,
glider guys.
Yeah, I've almost had a couple of them time to time.
So they run over because I just come gliding in there.
Like, what the?
I get out of the airplane. That 50's got a real steep wing when you're sitting on the gear, and I've got a parachute on, and I'm like, hey, I made it.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Good.
And then the adrenaline dump.
Yep.
I step off the wing, and I just fall on the ground, and I had a hard time standing back up. I mean, I was just, and that was
You're
all
gone.
of 2 minutes maybe, but I was toast afterwards.
Yes. Yes, sir.
So I know what you mean. Like you just open up the door.
You've been there. Yep.
Because I almost did the same thing.
Yep. It was that, and my brain, your brains take over and okay, I'm in a safe environment. Okay, now I can be hurt, sick, and, whatever the case. So one of our Black Hawks landed. It wasn't probably 5 minutes after we had arrived there. Of course, they called, gave him an ETA. And the other AH, we're all brothers. We love each other. But so they see the whole thing. And he told me, he's like, I was just getting ready to land because that helicopter's burning. We don't see any, gravy and co-pilot. And we see you crawling out the front, dragging your rifle. And you stand up, you take a step, you fall down. You stand up, you fall down. But my right leg wasn't working. And they said I got a stinger, I guess, in that L spine, and it kind of puts your legs to sleep. But he said, we had to chuckle at you, man. He said, it looked like a circus clown. He's up, he's down. He's up, he's down.
Yeah,
at
adrenaline.
the time, it was funny.
Adrenaline, body failure. Adrenaline, body failure. Yeah.
Yeah, so they scooped us up. Of course, we had the surgeon there, a couple of docs, and they started working on us. And then Black Hawk picked us up and flew us to the cache in Baghdad. Yeah.
How long were you out of commission after that?
Oh, let's see. That was March. I had 2 surgeries, April, May, June, and I deployed in September of 04 with B Squadron. They needed a fires guy. I was grounded. I mean, I've never had a migraine, but my head pounded for 9 months. I mean, nonstop. And of course,
and then it just finally went away.
It just stopped. And of course, the unit, they sent me to every specialist. I mean, they take good care of us.
So you were kind of out of the show for a year.
Yeah.
And then you got back in. How many more years did you fly after this incident?
4.
4 more years.
I did, I think 5 more combat tours. Yeah, I'd come home, and the doc's got a plan for me. Hey, we'll do a knee, rehab, get you back in the fight, come back. And I went on that tour in 04, 05 with Delta, and I also worked with 22 SAS guys, and as a fires guy and air guy, and I felt sorry for those. I mean, best operators on the planet, well, other than Delta, but they do more with less.
Yeah,
they do, and they're just good freaking warriors, man. I had a couple stories with them, but anyway.
Tell me what countries you've been deployed in, if you're able to tell us that.
Yeah, Iraq, Afghanistan. I was in Afghanistan 01, late September, early October. We were the first on the ground. 5th group was up north, and then Task Force Sword, we were down south hunting UBL and all those jackasses. Of course, hit 9 on 19 October 01. There in Kandahar, we hit Omar's compound, his ranch out there southwest of Kandahar. And, it was Pakistan.
So,
Syria.
Okay. Where else?
Wink, wink. Iran. Wink, wink.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Might have been some targets over there.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, mostly Middle East.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
and
sir.
no Africa.
No.
What do you take away? What's the... people listen to these stories because they want to see if there's a lesson or they want to hear about something heroic. And I'm sure you've seen some heroic stuff. I just saw mostly people just kind of doing their job. I don't know if I ever saw anything really heroic.
Yeah, you did.
But
Absolutely, you did.
maybe. But I just think I also was in a much different conflict.
Yes.
I wasn't in this current kind of low energy, high kinetic.
Mm-hmm.
What's the big takeaway from all of it? Do you have any big life lessons? It's done some damage to you
Sure.
that you've had to work on, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Do we
absolutely.
go off to combat and our weaknesses are amplified by our experience, or do we go off and find out our weaknesses? We
think-
also find our strengths, but
Yeah.
I mean,
Strengths are easy.
you spent a lot of time. I think I don't know what you wanted to talk about today, but you've been on a journey because I've heard you as we've talked over the years.
Yeah.
You've been a very introspective,
Yeah.
kind of glue yourself back together.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah, that's very fair.
Okay.
I wrote a book about it.
Yeah. Is this what the book is about?
Yes.
Talk to us
Yeah.
about the book. So, Death Waits in the Dark.
In the dark. Yes, sir.
When did your book come out?
Last year in March.
And is it a collection of stories of your
Yeah,
of your time in service?
It's not about me, and I. It took me 15 years to write this thing. it did, and I.
So when's volume 2 come out?
Yeah, no.
No, so it took you 15
I
years.
did write a children's book though, right after this.
Did you?
V is for veteran. Yeah, it's an alphabet book.
Oh, I like it.
Pukenduger.com. Yeah, V is for veteran. But anyway, yeah, I thought about it, and I'm a very faithful Christian. I'm a very strong Christian man. And I prayed about this, and it took me some time, but I was getting, Sergeant Major Kyle Lamb, George Hand. I had some.
Did I hear Kyle's here in town?
Yeah, I just tried to call him earlier.
Like, is he? He's not
He's at the
living out here.
range.
Oh, so he's
no,
here.
they're doing a sick days.
Oh,
Yeah. I'm going to run out there tomorrow and go kick him in the shin.
we should see if we can get him up here. I haven't talked to him in years.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to call him earlier. but
He
should call him.
came around when I was new.
Yeah.
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 I love seeing the look. I was like, what the hell happened last 10
I
years?
know, man. It's crazy. This is, we're so blessed.
Yeah, man, I tell you, every day I pinch myself.
Yeah.
Right
Hard
after,
work.
Right after somebody punches me in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hard work, you will prevail. Right?
Yeah.
Right. It's the American way.
So,
So
was this kind of a journey of therapy for you?
Yes, it was very, and there were a couple times my wife was like, "Hey, you need to walk away for a few days." Oh, okay, because she could see it coming and boiling points, and it was. I took that emotional roller coaster because it's not all high fives and accolades, and I wanted, of course, George Hand, he's Master Sergeant retired, former Delta Commando. He wrote it with me. And he had really poked me pretty hard. I'd written some stories he was writing for Soft Rep. And he just begged me. He's like, Coke, write me some stories. Well, I did. I wrote like Haditha Dam and, some big battles, Afghanistan invasion. And people were just going crazy over him. He's like, look, man, we got to do a book. Of course, Kyle was like, bro, he'd always tell me, Gravy, if it ain't written, it never happened.
Right. I remember you telling me about. I remember you telling me, Kyle.
That always stuck, So I did. Kyle wrote the intro for it. I was very honored that, he took time to do that. But yeah, so I got this process going and started. And I did not want to do it. I didn't want to be that guy. There's maybe 2 or 3 books about the 160th out there. Of course, Mike Durant and Black Hawk Down. But not much written, nothing about, the Little Bird companies, what they do or did.
How's it been received by that community, which usually stays pretty quiet? They're pretty cool about it.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I was very worried about that. And I called the unit and I talked to them. I said, hey, I'm writing a book and I wanted to use the DUI on the cover.
Yeah.
So I'd done my research, like U.S. Army, Marine, all that stuff's copyright. You can't use it. And I couldn't find anything on this, so I called our PAO, Public Affairs Officer, and then the Intel guys. I said, hey, I'm writing a book. Can I use the Night Stalker DUI? Absolutely. And we spoke for a little bit. The guy knew me. I didn't know him. And he said, you know what, Gray? He says, you're the first guy that's ever called up here to ask us if you could use and write any of this stuff. And I said, well, I'll send you the manuscript. You read through it.
Make sure there's no problems.
And I had everything triple checked. Okay, that's our rule. Because I did not want any, couple of items were on the fence, so I said, no, I'm taking it out.
Did you send it? I know that the State Department sometimes reviews this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Did you?
DOD does. I called them,
Yeah.
and the guy told me, 18 months.
Okay. And did you have him do it?
No.
No. Okay.
I wasn't waiting 18 months.
You know,
But I did talk to some other guys that had written books, and they said, send it to the unit. I said, roger that. So that's what I did.
I remember Chris Kyle. I had gotten a copy of his manuscript right after he finished the book. He put it in my hands, and he said, "You got to read it, Greg."
Got to read it.
And I sat down and read it, and then I remember seeing the copy that got approved. It was fucking redacted as shit, man. There was like tons of stuff. I'm like, hey, there's a lot more dead people here. What happened to all that? He's like, yeah, they thought that looked bad.
Yeah.
I'm like,
They thought it looked bad.
I'm like,
what we
okay.
do.
Did you guys negotiate a number?
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding.
That was pretty interesting. So, it took you 15 years to write the book. You finished it up, and did you tell me how this goes? Did a publisher jump on you about it? Did you guys self-publish? How does it go?
Yeah, I did a lot of research in that because I knew nothing about writing it
Right.
But I will say this, and I'm going to put this out to guys and gals, you don't have to publish a book, but I think it's important that you capture your legacy, Greg Medford, and write some of these stories down for your children and your grandchildren. It doesn't have to be published.
Yeah.
And I tell guys this because I realize it now. My wife was my biggest inspiration for writing this book. We were sitting in the den one evening. She goes, here's how I want you to think about it. Write this for your children and your grandchildren. It's your legacy. Boom. I could grasp that.
Yeah.
The next day I started writing. 89 days later, I finished the manuscript. So publishing, man, these people rip writers off. They really do. They keep 70 to 80% of your royalties.
Right.
I said, I'm not doing that. I talked to other Army dudes, that had written books, and they're like, man, it killed us.
Yeah.
We didn't know.
Yeah.
And you sign your life away to that publisher, movie rights,
Everything.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I can do this. I'm going to self-publish this thing. Got Amazon, all these other places.
It's a different universe. 25 years ago,
Yeah.
you'd be in the middle of nowhere. Good,
Yeah.
good for you. You publish a book out in Texas. You and 3 other people will know. But now you can kind of get yourself out there.
Yeah, yeah. And my printer, I called, and they're the Warrior's Journey. They're a faith-based nonprofit, and I've worked with these guys, Kevin Weaver, and just great, great people. And I called Kevin one day, and he's like, hey, how's the book coming? I was like, good, man. I said, I'm trying to I'd interviewed 3 printers. I interviewed 3 of everybody. And, of course, I did have some publishers call me because I guess the word got out. And they're like, hey, yeah, we want to be your editor, your publisher, and blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, thanks. I got it. So Kevin, he goes, Greg, we are a printer. So they printed the book for me. And it just all worked out, man. It was just, I was blessed, and we were all blessed. So I donate 100% of the proceeds, and that was why I did not want a publisher or somebody's fingers in that pot, because I wanted to give back to the community to help veterans, their families, and first responders.
Sure.
So to date, I think it's about $52,000 I've donated to nonprofits.
Yeah.
From the sale of this book.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
It is.
Yeah.
And you'd
So I'm
have to
helping.
you'd have to sell 1 million of them.
Yeah, I think it sold about 6,000.
Awesome.
Yeah, yep. It's good though. It's good.
So, what are you up to now? I know you flew for a little while after you got out of the Army.
Making knives.
Spent a little time at Dillon.
Yeah.
And then after Dillon, I knew you were doing some helicopter hog hunting.
Yep.
Are you still involved in that at all?
Yes. Yeah. I got to get you guys out next year to our annual helicopter hog hunt. Okay.
Yeah.
I've asked you
Why
now for like 4 or 5 years, Greg Medford.
I'm such an asshole because I'm always like, I know people are going to need me and I'm trying to grow this thing. You know, this doesn't happen on its own.
I know.
But
You're busy.
I'm actually at the point now where I can not rest on my laurels, but I think I can punch out and do some things with friends and have some adventures.
You bet, man. I mean, Young County Warrior Ranch, we do this annually. This year we had like 240 shooters, 240 vets come to this one little place in Graham, Texas, from all over the country. We fellowship, we laugh, we cry. Guys hadn't seen each other for 25 years. Happens at this little place. And then we go shoot pigs. We killed over 600 pigs this year.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Shooting them out of helicopters, man. That's fun.
Awesome.
Cool.
And do they go round up the carcasses afterwards, or is it just pest eradication?
Yeah, they're terrible varmints. They do millions and millions of dollars worth of damage every year in our state. And they tear up wheat fields and they're very destructive.
So they let you fly around helicopters and shoot them in New York, huh? That's so weird.
Yeah.
Only in Texas, man. Only in Texas.
Yeah. Yeah, so do that, and I just started making knives, man. You've been a long time inspiration ever since you made the 6-gun knife, and I said I'm going to learn how to do this one day. Well, again, a bunch of pokes. Kyle Lamb, he's making knives. Of course, you and I hate bothering you. You're busy, but I had to pick your brain But dude, I love it. It's a hobby.
Yeah.
And it's very therapeutic. You know.
Yeah, I do.
You know. I remember you and your one man shop over here. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's funny.
Fun.
People who were around when I got started, when they come around now, they're like, "What the fuck?"
Oh yeah.
It's crazy.
I was in shock, man, all morning. Walking around this. This is amazing, brother.
It's crazy.
Well done.
Thanks, man.
Good job, bro. I'm proud of you.
So, Death Waits in the Dark. You can find it on Amazon. Just look up Death Waits in the Dark by Greg Coker.
Or my website, deathwaitsinthedark.com. You can get a signed copy. $25 shipped.
Awesome.
It's on Audible. I read the book for Audible, and everybody loves it. And then Kindle. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I got a little surprise for you today.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
No, you don't, Greg Medford.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I
don't have my pistol on me, man. I flew here.
So let me give you guys the rest of the story. So the way we met, and he said, "Hey, I tried having these guys do it, and I tried having this company do it."
Yeah.
After the State Department did the forensics, or Pentagon or whomever it was it State Department on the SA-16?
I don't know who it was.
So after the federal government got the pile of wreckage back that the Army went in and picked up from your shoot down, he got a chance to get the barrels out of the bird.
Yep.
He got the barrels and he carried it around for a while, and he approached a couple other knife companies and
said I was stupid.
he didn't get any action on them. And of course, my naivete, I was like, "Okay, we can do it."
Yeah.
He says, "Hey, Greg, I want to make knives out of the barrels." I said, "Okay, we can do that." So I reached out to Alabama Damascus. He bored the chrome out of the barrels, and then he heated them up red hot, split them down the side, opened them up, flattened them, made Damascus out of them, and sent me tongues of Damascus. And then I started making knives out of them. And I should have held on to those and waited till I was a better knife maker. But it worked out.
It's beautiful.
And then I don't even remember how many we made of those. 20 or
I think so. Something. I think I got 11. One for me, and then I gave 10 to the guys that were on the ground with me that day. Co-pilot.
And the guys all liked them.
Oh man, they loved them.
And then you still have yours. No,
it's gone.
The X got it.
Yep. Along with my 1911 service pistol and some other stuff. Yeah.
Well, as fate would have it,
get heck, Greg. No.
I got one extra one.
Nuh-uh. No, you don't.
I do. It was the one I kept for myself.
No, man. This is yours.
I
this
got lots.
This is your art.
No. That's for you.
No, dude.
Yeah. So open it up. Let's let everybody see it. So it's got.
There's the coin.
Got your 6-gun challenge going on the top.
Have a knife tool cart?
No. I packaged this up years ago.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
That was my old angry Terms and conditions. Don't be a fucking retard.
Oh, dude.
In a black case. I mean, this is from years ago.
Yeah.
And then
This was a snappy little.
it got gone through this morning, so it's freshened up.
Gosh, man.
It's from the original batch.
Oh, they showed me these. That is a cool idea. Samurai sack.
Yeah, here, just untie the back there. There you go.
This says limited warranty. I thought it was.
Oh, now it's uncut. That's back when I was mad at everybody.
That's it, bro. Titanium. It's got the minigun barrels with a 6 guns. Gosh dang. Medford knife. There's the Damascus.
So that was made with the barrels.
My miniguns.
Your miniguns that you got shot down with.
Doggone it. Yeah, I had other guys when they found out. They're like, dude, I'm sending you my knife. Nope, that's yours. That's yours. Okay.
Well, I wasn't in the unit, and it was a pleasure making the It was a pleasure doing the project. So
no, it was a.
They're pretty damn collectible now, just FYI. So you might save that for when you're ready to buy your next helicopter.
Greg, thanks, bro.
You're welcome. Happy to do it,
man.
It's been sitting in my safe waiting for a home. Cool.
You don't know what that means, bro.
Well, I do know what it means. That's why I was happy to do it.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, I'm letting you hug me from across the table, okay?
Yeah,
all right.
Man hug. You turd. Simplify.
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 Well, so what are you doing now? Are you doing anything professionally, or you're retired now?
Well, I've dove into this knife making, and I just bought a new coal iron press and got me a little old forge, and so I'm learning. And I went down and worked with John Horgan. He's a really good friend of mine. Bob, his brother, was a very good friend of mine. He was killed in action in 2005.
That's not from the guy from Paragon. No.
No.
Okay.
No, that's Butch. Butch, he lives in Graham. He lives where I live.
His dad lives in your town,
he
right?
makes folders.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
I go out to their shop and bug them.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm like, what are you doing, man?
They
Like, go away.
They called me up and said, hey, we ran into one of your friends, Greg Coker.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
I'll be darned. Yeah, so I went down, worked with John. He lives about 3 hours away. Just a phenomenal artist like you and all these other guys. Bill Harsey's a friend of mine. I talk to Bill all the time. And I went out and worked with Chris Williams about a month ago, Wilmot Grinders. And Chris is an old friend of mine, former Delta guy. And yeah, I just get a lot of therapy from doing this stuff, man.
I get it.
And I love it. And yeah, I like the design concept of it and making this and seeing it come to fruition.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
It is. It's cool. But again, it's a hobby, and I really enjoy it. I'm into making Damascus, so I've made some chef knives and stuff like that. So
cool. So tell me about this knife you just handed me.
Well, that was my second attempt at Damascus. So that's 320 layer, and that's my Skinner concept design. So yeah, I made that out with Chris Williams out at his shop in North Carolina. Yep.
What's the material? What's the metal?
So what I did is we got to 160 layers, and then I cut that in half, sandwich nickel foil on a piece of 1095. So that 1095 is the center.
So 1095 is your core.
Yes.
Nickel
1084
separation.
on the outside.
Cool.
And then the nickel. It was an experiment. And we were like, maybe this will work. So.
And then what do you have the Kydex lined with?
That's just to protect the blade and hold.
Is it lined with leather?
Oil. No, it's felt.
Are you giving me this?
No.
No.
That's my only one, bro.
I'm not.
I'll make you one, though.
You're just showing me.
Yeah, I'm just showing you.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm like.
I'm making you one.
I never know these days anymore. People hand me knives. I'm like,
I'm making you one.
all right, okay. No. I'm not trying to hit you up. You make them and sell them and pay for your hobby.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. That's a great looking little knife, and
Thanks.
I love. Would you etch it with? Did you get it
Ferric
with ferric
acid.
chloride?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yep. Ferric and apple cider vinegar.
Oh, nice, nice. Everybody's got their thing. I take mule piss,
Yeah.
3 ounces of pig
Diesel.
blood, just in case I stab an Arab with it.
Yeah.
It was that guy who was quenching him in pig blood. You remember
Oh,
that?
God, yes.
Yeah,
I
it's like-
do remember that.
Yeah, I was like, oh man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I'm learning to grind, and yeah, that's
So you're a retired knife maker now.
yes, sir.
Is that about the wrap of it? All right.
We got a ranch, and they're in Texas, and we raise longhorns. And
Where are you
chickens
out in
and-
Texas?
Graham,
In
Texas.
Okay,
2
that's
hours,
right. You said that.
2 hours west of Fort Worth.
Nice.
And my wife has a commercial embroidery company, and we embroider hats for Dale Brisby. Well, Dale, yeah, old son. If you've never seen him, you need to look him up. He's on Netflix, has his own show. How to Be a Cowboy.
How to be a cowboy? Did you go to the Blade Show that happened in Dallas?
I did.
You did.
I sure did,
I
yeah.
wasn't there. I heard it was.
know.
I heard it was pretty good.
Yeah, it was really good.
You know, it was kind of a weird time. I lost so much money on canceled trade shows, and it was happening right at the end of COVID. I was like, I'm fucking done
showed out.
with all this bullshit.
Yeah.
So I said, I'm gonna wait until everybody's asking me to come again, and then I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
So
You
my
can
next,
come next year.
I am gonna come next year.
I think
and
it
that
should
used to
be
be a
moved-
cowboy show,
Yes.
and it's
yes.
turned into a tactical and modern stuff too.
Everybody.
Yeah.
I met Jason Knight and his wife. Really cool people. I watch him quite a bit, and I've learned quite a bit. I want to go do a class with him. Kyle did a class with him a few months ago, and I gave them a book, and his wife emailed me a couple of weeks ago and says, I really love your book.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's just a great community, as you know, and
Yeah.
you get to see old bros, and I'm looking forward to Blade Show. And I was very, I didn't want to take away your time because everybody's getting ready for Blade. And
it's the nice thing
I
about
don't
my,
call any of my knife making buddies right now.
my life used to be like that, and it's not anymore because my management style is so different than
Sure.
most companies.
Yeah.
I'm not a micromanager at all.
No.
I'm like, at the point someone's not doing their job, I'm like, hey, we got a problem here, and can you do this job or not?
Sure.
If not, let's get somebody else who can and find something that fits you better. So I'm not plagued by, I got to get my nose in everything.
Right.
I really, and the truth is, because of my style, the company's better at making knives than I was.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're awesome at it.
Yep.
And then what I do is I come up with new doodles and new drawings
Sure.
and new ideas, and I'm looking at the marketplace. So the curious thing is, as it turns out, my gift is way more towards the business, and a lot of guys, they like the knife making so much and they hate the business part. I love the alchemy of the business.
Yes.
I'm older. I like connecting with people more.
People person.
And I like seeing the tools in people's hands, and I like seeing the tools go on little adventures. Like, that's what gratifies my soul. I know I can make knives.
Yeah.
And then I've got a whole nother, the younger people, they like seeing their hands make stuff.
Oh, yes.
So they're perfect for that.
Yes.
Let them, and then I'm always pushing on, better quality. More than. So as time's gone by, we make more knives than we ever have. The quality's better than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And that's usually the opposite, right?
Yes. Yeah, the quality usually goes down as
Right.
you go up.
And there's also delusion. A lot of guys think they're awesome knife makers, and they think their employees suck. And they're fucking delusional.
Yeah.
So I run the team pretty well, and then
Yes.
I've got the team that runs itself really well, and we don't have a middle management here.
No. Well, you
So-
surrounded yourself with eagles, is what you've done. And
Yeah.
that's great management style.
Yeah.
What Ross Perot always said. I surround myself with eagles. So,
And I try to. I'm always trying to have a better team that's more capable than I am.
sure.
And then I can do. This company's got a unique thing because I'm actually not ego driven at all. I could disappear and stay that way for a long time.
Sure.
For me, it's really about, where can I plug the company in better, and where can I help the marketplace?
Oh, yeah.
Because I feel like any business I can stop from going to China and we make it here. Like, I've got different missions growing
You
inside of
bet.
me.
Oh, I can't
And
imagine.
it's not just like, well, let's make knives. I'm like, oh, we can make knives.
Yeah.
How do we make 1 million of them?
Yeah. and make them better.
Yeah, and then how do we make $1 million all here, and how do I cut off a bunch of imports? Like my whole thing is this chess game against imports right now.
Sure.
So I'm working. I have some really cool things on the horizon to hopefully, industries that leave America don't come back.
No, I don't.
And they don't come back because you have to have somebody who's pushing for that.
Right.
And there's the Wharton Business School, the Keynesian Institute, all these guys. Nobody's pushing for that anymore. No. I'm pushing for it.
You bet.
So if a bunch of little guys like me can have a little revolution in a little industry where we can nudge the needle.
Yep.
I couldn't nudge the car industry needle.
No.
But in the knife industry, I can nudge the needle.
And you have.
And so I'm trying to get other people and inspire them to be doing this, and I want them to be embarrassed doing business in the wrong place.
Good.
Good
for you.
And it sounds awful, but I'm shaming people into being thoughtful about manufacturing.
Yeah. This is America. Keep your manufacturing in America. Put people to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And don't ask for your country to have highfalutin standards and then go buy elsewhere. Mm-mm. It's funny. It's little millennial centrist and leftist youngsters buying all these Chinese knives. And they say, oh, well, you shouldn't be afraid of competition. And I go, I'm not afraid of competition, you little son of a bitch. Come on over here. Let's compete a little bit.
Compete.
I'm happy to compete with anybody. I'm not going to compete with a government that's buying, underwriting the machinery, underwriting the currency, underwriting the materials, and then they're stealing my intellectual property. Is that what you mean by competition?
Yeah.
Because if that's what you mean by competition, how about you let me come fuck your sister?
Yep. Or your mom.
Yeah, let me come fuck your mom. How's that sound?
That's your mom.
Just dating.
Gosh, man.
Like they don't see what a thievery is going on.
Man, they're blind.
Yeah,
so blinded.
And I don't get as berated by it anymore because I've been out there enough and for a long time. But people don't get it, and when you hear them saying, "Oh, it's just competition," say, "No, I'm cool with free and fair competition."
Oh, yeah.
Matter of fact, where are all the great German and Italian knives competing with me?
Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty comfy with going at, and all due respect to Fox and all the folks in Germany, they're making knives. Yeah. But I'm happy to go head to head with any of those guys. No problem. Mm-hmm. You know why? They treat their people well.
Yeah.
They keep their country clean. They follow the rules. Yeah. They don't have slave labor.
That's right.
And their countries aren't manipulating currency. Mm-hmm. Okay. And they're also not making battleships to fight my country now.
They're not.
Fuck China.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't have to say it, but fuck them.
Like a dog.
Oh. So, people say, well, hey, you have stuff that's made in Taiwan. I go, Taiwan's not China, and Taiwan is poking the eye in China.
Oh, yeah.
And I love I love having Taiwan poke the eye in China. Fine by me.
Yep.
South Korea too.
Yep.
People say, well, Greg, you've got stuff made in Japan. I go, I'm not afraid of foreigners.
No.
I just hate my enemy.
Yes.
I think it's a fair reaction for us to hate our enemy.
Very fair reaction. Very fair.
It's not. Look, I don't sit around gnashing my teeth, boiling with hatred.
No.
But if someone says you should love thy neighbor, I go, well, I do my neighbor, but not China. F China.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I see what's going on.
Yep.
People who don't see it when you hear them talk, you go, oh, you don't know what you're talking about.
No.
So you're making knives. You got any plans with the knives? You trying to do anything, or is it truly just a personal passion thing?
Personal passion.
Cool.
Yeah, I sell a few. Yeah, people like them and want them. And I try to make, think of it like, and you told me this years ago, they're just tools, Greg. They're just tools.
Yeah.
So, it's like our 1911 or an M4. It's a tool.
I love seeing people get them in their hands who love them.
I got a guy just send me a video. I made him one of these skinners, and he's gutting
skinning
a pig.
Yeah.
I mean, it went through it like a razor blade.
Yeah. You're going to find this out if you haven't already. There's some people you make a knife for and you give it to them and you've put all this time, energy, effort in it. It came out beautiful and the etch is awesome and the handle feels right. There's no hot spots and you really like it. Sheaths clicks just right. And hand it to them. They oh, thanks. And they kind of put it over there. I'm like, hey, motherfucker, I just fucking worked my ass off of that. So,
I put my heart and soul into that thing, man.
Yeah.
I hammer forged it.
Fuck, man. I have a short list of dudes I'll give a knife to, because I'm like, most people are like,
Yeah. Oh well, it's a knife.
They're like, oh,
Thanks.
thanks.
Yeah.
I'm like, that doesn't come out of a goddamn juicing press.
No, man. There ain't
Especially,
a bunch of little yellow bastards out there hammering away on this stuff.
it doesn't come out of the machine that goes bing. I mean,
Yeah.
I especially when I was hand making my own knives, if I gave somebody a knife and they were like, I was like,
Hey.
give me that knife back.
Give me
You
that
son of a
knife
bitch. I'm
back.
fighting words.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, listen, it's been great having you in. I'm sorry for the delay today. It was just kind of the way it went
was
down.
such an honor. It's been too long.
Yeah, it has been too long. We'll let everybody know about your book, Death Waits in the Dark. You guys can find it on Amazon, or you can go to deathwaitsinthedark.com
Yes, sir.
and check it out. I know proceeds from the book you're donating. Tell me about where they're going.
Holy cow. I've donated to probably 18 to 20. I try to break it up into like $3,000 to $5,000 lots because I want to spread it
Who do you give it
around.
to?
Unit Foundation, Three Rangers Foundation, Night Stalker Foundation, Stay in the Fight Foundation. I'd have to go home and look at my list.
Okay, cool.
I mean,
Cool.
Yeah, it's
And-
all out there. TTPOA, Texas Tactical Police Officers Association,
Yeah.
for their fallen guys and their families and kids. Yeah.
So you're trying to give back to that, to your tribe.
Yes.
Good.
Our tribe.
Great.
Our tribe.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming to the show, checking it out. A little different beat and a little different march than we've had the last couple of months. Greg, awesome seeing you. Thanks for coming
You too,
and doing
brother.
the show.
Love you, man.
All right, guys, I'm out.
Thanks.